Welcome to the Cryptonaut podcast. My name is Mark Storrs, and I'm joined by Christopher Carnicelli.
Hey.
And Robert Thomas Morphy II.
Howdy do.
Thank you all for joining us. Heart of the Deep Boys. It happened. It was last week's episode. We got a ton of feedback on it. Pretty intense stuff. And thank you to everyone actually that contacted us and gave us feedback on that. We appreciate it. We're glad you guys liked the episode. It was definitely a trip.
Yeah,
so,
it was.
Yes, indeed. And Patreon, Robert, we offer it. People sign up for it, and we thank them.
And it is one of my singular pleasures each and every week to read these motherfucking names. These goddamn glorious bastard and bastardettes. And anything in between. Beginning with John Gillette.
Thank you, John.
Connor Davidson.
Hell yeah, Connor.
Real life trash. One word.
All one word.
Brendan Schleining.
Thank you, Brendan.
Hope I got that right, Brendan. If not, you know the dealio. Southbound Salmon.
Hell yeah.
Aaron. Andrew Quirk.
Nice.
J.V. Williams. All caps. Let's not fuck around here.
There it is.
Jason Voorhees Williams. We will not mess around.
You're right.
M. Travis Bodnar.
Nice. Thank you.
That's an alien name.
Could be.
Nolan Williams.
Thank you, Nolan.
Lance.
What up, Lance?
Jeff, the recently married mongoose, doing it for the devilment. And that's how you get your dollar's worth, folks.
There it is. Right
yes.
there.
Dang.
So Jeff, the mongoose, the recently married, congratulations on the recent nuptials.
Absolutely.
Very cool. Very cool. And I do see a little last podcast on the left reference there, so hail yourself, good sir. And yeah, there it is. Thank you all. Again, patreon.com/Cryptonaut podcast. Check that out. You can support us over there. Links for that are in the description of this show. So it's super easy. You don't even got to type it in. You scroll down and it says Patreon and you click. And boom, and it goes there.
Magic.
Whoa, that's that easy?
Don't even got to type it in.
That's just ridiculous.
There it is. Cool.
Dang.
Also, too, real quick here, coming up, speaking of the Patreons, we have a trivia night. Friday, August 19th, 8:30 p.m. Crypto Trivia. Join us for the Crypto Trivia. Topics include general knowledge of the creatures featured on the podcast and some podcast history. Now, for this event, you must be in the general chat because that's how they're going to hook up the game to play. It's like you're in the general chat, and then they get all the trivia questions together, and they get you sort of situated on there. So don't worry. Join in the general chat around like 8:30 or whatever. We'll all be in there. Get you all situated, get your game cards and everything together. And,
I'm excited.
Yeah,
I love these things. I will probably do fairly well, even though I know we can't win, on monster knowledge, generally speaking, though probably not as well as I would like to think. In terms of trivia about anything to do with this podcast, I will fucking suck.
Same.
Yeah.
I will suck at all of it.
You know?
That's true.
That's
true. You
100%.
have managed to become like a semi-renowned, at least crypto aficionado who has not one iota of fucks to give.
Yeah, which is weird because like I don't claim to be one, and I don't even want to be known as one.
No, but it's too late.
Dude,
You've been branded.
Dude, I get the same thing.
You got the Scarlet C.
I'm always like, I got to ask Rob. I'll let you know. Or I'll Google it real quick. But for trivia night, I do believe, I'm almost positive, there is a prize.
Oh, shit.
Provided by me. So there you go.
Well, then you should know because you're the one providing it.
I'm saying that there will be a prize. So we will we will talk to the mods.
I hope it's awesome.
And we will figure all that
Maybe
out.
I'll contribute something to that, too. I don't know. We'll figure that out.
Yeah, totally. All right, so getting back to the podcast here. This week, the mysterious Montvale Monstrosities.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you sent this and you said it was going to be a weird one.
It is a weird one.
Compared to the Heart of the Deep,
it's going to be
back-to-back weirdness.
Yeah, it's not maybe as many Taints Ahoy, but
I mean, I could use a break from Taints Ahoy.
yeah, no, you're in luck then. You're very much in luck.
I mean, yeah, I know that you sent this as an email, but I was thinking maybe we'd try the whole touch taints and transfer information.
Oh, hey, huh?
Yeah,
that's a special Patreon level that I'm not ready to necessarily get into.
I mean,
yet.
I just said let's give it a break.
All right, you know what?
I literally just said that.
You're right.
I said let's not have taints this week.
Okay,
like,
so
I was thinking maybe.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe you're just fucking transmitting data and what else do you transmit, like consciousness and shit,
like suborgasmal ecstasy
through taints.
I say sub because you don't actually blow it in any way, but you feel as if you are literally breaking apart on a subatomic level. But that's enough taints for Chris.
There it is.
He's
Chris,
reached his zenith.
Don't pretend it's just me.
Wow.
Don't pretend it's
I got
just
two
me.
anti-taints here. All right, fine. Let's
This
get
week,
started with, on a frigid winter's day in the late 1970s, 3 boys were playing on a frozen New Jersey field when they received the shock of their young lives in the form of a cube-like UFO that hovered overhead. But as frightening as this flying box might have been, it would be this object's vivid yellow occupants, a bizarre hawk-faced being, and a slow-motion feminine fiend that would send shivers of terror down their collective spines.
And can you blame them? That's a lot to handle.
Is there a collective taint?
I'm in. I love hawk-face shit.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yes.
I really do. I really do.
No, Hawkman
Not even
was
gonna
always
front.
one of my favorite
So I'm saying,
DC heroes.
give me hawk creatures all fucking day.
Yeah.
Oh, fucking Flash Gordon, Vulcan and the Hawkman.
Oh, yeah.
Come on.
Totally. Yeah.
So fucking
I'm saying.
phenomenal.
Dude, fucking hawks ahoy.
Okay, so before we begin, as ever, a massive shout out goes to our researcher extraordinaire, Cole Herrold, who dug this case out of a little-known 1991 youth-oriented UFO book by James M. Deem, that's Deem, titled How to Catch a Flying Saucer, as well as issue 24 of Weird New Jersey, where an article appeared under the heading Hawk-like Aliens Jog Through Montvale, 1978.
How great is that?
Jog.
Yeah,
How awesome.
it's a great title. I was also able to glean some additional information and essential clarification from the February 1978 edition of the MUFON UFO Journal, issue 123. So that was a lucky find, and that really helped me to lay down in stone a lot of things that were pretty vague up until that point. But we're just going to present it, as I came across it. So, without further ado, nestled near the northeasternmost point of the Garden State and sharing a border with New York, the mostly suburban Montvale is a borough of Bergen County, New Jersey. As of the 2010 United States Census, the borough's population was 7,844. But in 1978, that number was hovering around 7,300. 7,300 Earthlings, that is, because on the late afternoon of January 31st, a small cell of alien invaders evidently landed near a local elementary school to conduct what appeared to be military drills or an interpretive dance number in full view of a trio of terrified Earth boys.
Looking awesome.
According to the account published in the MUFON Journal, 3 young boys were boot skating. That's an actual quote. I love that because I used to do that all the time. I could never ice skate. Just sliding on the ice in your fucking big old green boots.
I was
Okay.
terrible at ice skating.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So, I mean, it just struck a chord with me because I'm like, oh, yeah, I was a 70s boot skater.
Nice.
And 80s. On an ice-covered field not far from the playground at Montvale Memorial Elementary School, when they had a startling confrontation with the unknown. The boys in question were brothers Eddie and Michael Hargrove, 8 and 10 respectively, and their 10-year-old buddy John Cummings. The field was situated about 1 block north of John's house and just a little further away from the Hargroves' home. Even though the sun had set an hour earlier at 5:13 p.m., and yes, I did check that, the boys were allowed to stay out after dark due to the fact that the playground and surrounding sports fields were illuminated by floodlights that lined the perimeter of the area. That and the fact that it was the 70s and nobody gave fucks what kids were doing at all.
Yeah, it's true.
The first thing the boys noticed in what would be an ever-escalating series of odd events was what Eddie described as a quote-unquote plane-like object that soared by from the south and seemed to maneuver westward in a straight line. John claimed he glanced up but took no particular notice of the craft. That would change within a few minutes when the sky would be occupied by an altogether different object, one that would command all of the boys' attentions. Shortly after the quote-unquote plane disappeared, a colossal cube-like structure with a red-hot underside flew above them in slow circles before suddenly coming to a halt over their heads.
Boot skating just got real interesting. Holy shit.
John later estimated its altitude to be between 50 and 1,000 feet and claimed that it had come in from the east over the school and that it was approximately the size of a full moon. The astonished boys stared up at the stationary object for nearly 5 minutes, taking in even the most minute of details. Once the burning reddish hue on the underside, which may well have been caused by the friction of entering Earth's atmosphere, that's wild speculation on my part, had begun to fade, the three friends noted that the squarish craft, which was wider in length than in depth, so think of like a donut box, sort of, like not too deep, but like a wide square, had rounded corners embedded with yellow lights and had what appeared to be a dome-like structure on the top. It also had a large light underneath which cast a red beam that, in defiance of all known laws of physics, stopped just short of the ground. That's always going to fuck you up.
That's weird, yeah.
Yeah, light spreads, light continues. It
Light
might dissipate
doesn't
because
do
it keeps
that,
getting
yeah.
wider, but it doesn't fucking freeze midair.
Huh.
Though focused on the floating block, Eddie, Michael, and John took the time, in what must be noted as proper Jersey fashion, to debate the thing's origins. This fucking little kid just argue. Finally, the Big Lou voice comes in handy.
Yeah,
Finally,
dude.
we're in Jersey.
This could be the return of Big Lou.
Yeah, oh, could be.
Could be.
Is that a B-52? What the fuck's wrong with you, Mikey? Come
You
on, Eddie.
fuck.
That look like a goddamn. This doesn't have wings. They finally resolved that this was a UFO of the kind that had been flooding the TV airwaves, and understandably afraid of what might happen next, the friends agreed to make a run for a nearby baseball diamond and the dubious refuge of its partially enclosed dugout. Likely slipping and falling on the icy field, the kids made a mad dash for the enclosure, but their worst fears were realized when the object, seemingly taking note of their escape route, took pursuit. Within seconds, the flattened, snub-edged box caught up with the boys, then, mercifully, continued on its way, swiftly moving southward toward Park Ridge before vanishing over the horizon. And there we have it.
I mean,
See you next week.
So they run to the dugout and it follows them, but then it's like, yeah, fuck you guys,
Well,
and then it just keeps going.
seemingly.
It does the slow circle.
Right.
And then they're standing there on the frozen field, boot skating their hearts out, like all, Rockwellian boys are wont to do. And then they're like, fuck this. Let's go for, like, I don't know, a tiny little, I'm presuming, cinder block and chain link structure, like all fucking dugouts used to be,
Right.
where you're going to fucking duck in there and try to get a little safety. As you start running in that direction, it's going in the same direction, maybe coincidentally.
Right.
But instead of stopping or shooting its halto beam on you, it just keeps going toward fucking Park Ridge, and then it's out.
The Halto beam.
Piling ass over tea kettle into the dugout, John, Eddie, and Michael must have heaved a sigh of relief. They had dodged a cosmic bullet, and whatever it was had left them behind. Their fear subsiding, the kids excitedly discussed what they'd just seen. It's likely that they speculated on where it came from, what its agenda might have been, and if they could get anyone to believe their story of what they thought was a near miss with a genuine UFO. Little could they have imagined in their exhilarated state that their nightmarish encounter was only just beginning. It was at that moment that one of the boys noticed a bright yellow blur near Memorial Drive, which runs broadly north-south on the eastern perimeter of the field where they had just been playing. So just next to the field they've been sliding in. There's this room. The strange figure was just north of the large Department of Public Works garage on the east side of the road, about 300 feet from the boys. Immediately, the trio reckoned that it was their neighbor, Mr. Johnson, who was notorious for taking long evening jogs in a bright lemon yellow tracksuit. Without hesitation, Michael called out, "Mr. Johnson, did you see the UFO?"
I was hoping you're going to do the accent.
Nailed it perfectly. And I think it's a perfect 8-year-old boy or 10. I'm not sure which he is.
Smoking cigs in the 70s.
Yeah, just chain smoking. He's got the Luckies rolled up in the t-shirt sleeve. The figure suddenly turned toward the boys, and that's when they realized that they weren't dealing with Mr. Johnson. In fact, they weren't dealing with a human being at all. The pointy-faced, enigmatic entity standing before them was about 5'7", stone-bald and clad head to foot in what looked to be a yellow jogging suit, complete with boots and gloves of the same hue. So far, so good. But what truly upset the youngsters was the fact that its epidermis had a pale yellowish glow, and that where its eyes ought to have been, there was nothing but a pair of large, dark, trapezoidal voids.
Ooh.
Trapezoid eyes?
Yeah. Or maybe early edition pit vipers. I mean, they're 300 feet away, give or take.
Yeah, there you go.
I knew it was Mark's fault.
Time traveling stores.
Fucking knew it.
Then, before they had a chance to fully react to this yellow humanoid, approximately 10 other creatures, all identical to the first, suddenly appeared from out of nowhere. It was at that moment that the boys realized that everything around them had grown eerily silent, and what was worse, their nostrils were being blasted by the nauseating stench of burning sulfur, which seemed to waft toward them from the jaundiced joggers.
Dude, fucking jaundice farts.
Damones.
Oh.
Yeah, I was thinking Damones first, but I'm like, these are more like Doctor Who.
Yeah. Oh, no, it's 100%.
You know what I mean?
Like,
Yeah.
like a late 60s, early 70s
Yeah.
Doctor Who, but like Tom Baker, we throwing mad scarf at these fuckers. But yeah, no, I mean, we can't take anything off the table. We never, of course, take the devil or diabetes off the table. But,
There you go.
you know, just keep it in mind. It was then that the group noticed that these icteric entities were rapidly walking back and forth with a kind of robotic stiffness, which led John to pose this query to a trio of eminent ufologists who later came to interview him and his friends. Quote, "Have you heard of Hitler's army? You know how they walked kind of stiff with their arms straight? Well, that's how they looked." So,
a bunch of fucking goose-stepping aliens?
or just joint-free
Right.
weirdos or robots, maybe. Who knows?
Right.
The esteemed ufologists in question were none other than famed author and abduction expert Bud Hopkins, Patrick Yugi, co-author of numerous field guides on subjects including ETs, lake monsters, and mystery primates. We used his ET book. I mean, I've got all his books, but like many times. Delta dogs and other things, as well as the king of the frogmen himself, Ted Blocher, a renowned ufologist and investigator who co-founded the Civilian Saucer Intelligence of New York in 1954, co-authored with Isabel Davis the essential 1978 report Close Encounter at Kelly and others of 1955, which of course included all of the additional stuff we did in the Loveland Addendum.
Yep.
Yeah.
And most salient in this case, also penned the MUFON Journal entry CE3 report from Montvale, New Jersey, which we have referenced so extensively here. So he's the guy that actually wrote the report that I managed to dig up.
Nice.
Yeah, Bloker's the GOAT.
Yeah, he really is. But more on their investigation in a moment. Right now, let's go back to the Montvale Memorial Elementary School baseball field dugout, 6:15 p.m., after dark on January 31st, 1978. Though the fear that had just subsided was almost certainly surging back through their veins, the boys, in a proud show of North Jersey disco-era chutzpah, crept out of the questionable shelter provided by the dugout in order to get a better look at these potentially bellicose beings. Some were continuing to goose-step in the icy field, while others seemed to be making their way down a road, single file, in their general direction, moving at ridiculous speeds, not unlike the space penguins of Tuscumbia. Remember how fast they were going back and forth? They were kind of like a blur to some degree. Just pointing it out. And with them came another noxious wave of sulfur.
Farts.
Amid the swiftly moving throng, the boys noticed one creature who seemed different from the rest. It had a larger head that seemed creased down the middle and resembled something akin to a quote-unquote hawk's head. This being wore a brown cape over its yellow suit and slipped in and out of the marching mini-mob, making it difficult to discern any additional details of this quasi-avian anomaly, which, according to James Dean, quote, looked more like a hawk than a man. Was he their leader or merely an ET fashionista? The boys would never know.
Is this, we got Birdman?
So we basically got, I want to see, I see it in my mind as a Hawkman helmet.
It's
I know
hard
that's
not
not
to.
it.
I know.
Like, I don't think it's got the soaring wings on the side. I don't,
No.
I think it just really looks like an Egyptian god, like Osiris or something. I don't remember which one had a bird head, but like, I just think it looks like a raptor's
Horace
head.
did.
Dude, Rick and Morty Birdman.
Well, bird person.
Oh, that's right, bird person.
Yeah.
That's
But
right.
he looks more like the Buck Rogers one where it's like the shape of a bird about your face and then a
yes.
human face poking through.
Yeah.
Right.
This, I think, is just legitimately a hawk's head.
I think so, yeah.
On the yellow body with a brown cape. So that's pretty stylish.
It's a dope cape.
As the youngsters stealthily approached the action, they suddenly noticed another figure on the scene. One decidedly different from the falcon-headed fiend or the decidedly not mellow yellow marauders bobbing up and down and marching toward them. It was a woman. She was standing alone in the parking lot on the east side of Memorial Drive, which I think is the same general place as the bird dude and the yellowheads. At first, she appeared to be like any other woman, with medium long brown hair and a dark suit complete with an oddly blue fur stole wrapped around her shoulders. Peter's not going to be happy about that.
No.
But something about her made the boys uneasy. Although she wasn't as overtly intimidating as the speedy lemonheads or the semi-avian aberration, she exuded a sort of ill-defined malevolence that they all found unnerving. For one thing, she moved too slowly, almost as if she was caught in a personal time warp and that she was moving at a more sluggish pace than the world in which she was currently stuck.
It's got a slow, evil walk.
Just a slow, little bit spasmodic.
Nice.
It's a little weird. Definitely Silent Hill as fuck.
Oh, boy.
Eddie, Michael, and John watched as the woman walked with her peculiar gait down the road toward a low cedar fence that lined the parking area. Then she sat down, facing them. Within seconds, the kids realized the horrible truth. This dilatory diva had no face, just a blank, fleshy slate where her features should have been. Without warning, she pointed at the three stunned boys. Almost certainly horror-struck at being spotted, the children could only stare as the woman then raised her arms skyward. The boys simultaneously looked up, and their hearts sank as they saw the soaring square rushing toward them once again.
Ah, dude, see the
What
chick
the fuck
with
is happening?
the chick with no face. Like, how the fuck she see us? Any chick on the fucking eyeballs? What the fuck? And then there you go.
Completely. That is totally quoting.
Yep.
And then you're watching this thing. You got these other fuckers just bobbing around like flash mobbing. Fucking Hawkman's like conducting this whole fucking
this
scenario.
is fucking weird. Like,
Yeah. Then spasmodic jerky Mick slow-mo is with no face. She points at you and you're like, oh no. Then she points up and you're like, oh fuck.
yeah, this is like an episode of Legion. I'm just like, where am I right now?
Right.
Like, what is happening?
It kind of is. All right, man. High fucking strangeness, dudes.
Suddenly, the woman stood up and began to jerkily walk in the direction of the public works garage. For an instant, the boys' hopes were raised as a police cruiser came into their field of vision, driving north from Grand Avenue, heading for the police station a little ways beyond on Memorial Drive. The vehicle was making a beeline straight for the faceless female, but no sooner was it upon her than she vanished into thin air.
Oh, shit.
Somehow the officer inside the car failed to notice either the woman, the eyeless aliens, or the hovering domed box and continued past the kids without so much as slowing down. As soon as the cruiser slipped past her, the blank-faced woman reappeared. Of course.
Yeah,
of course
I
she
expect.
did.
Of course, everything came back.
Man,
Works
Yeah.
probably.
Yeah. That's totally like fucking Casablanca shit.
Is
right
this
there.
a Casablanca part 2?
Oh, it's very similar
Okay.
in the sense that it's batshit crazy and indefinable.
Nice.
Their hopes for a rescue by law enforcement dashed. John, Michael, and Eddie just watched as the woman continued spasmodically moving away. Then something even more bizarre began to happen. As one of the boys described it in Deem's account, quote, parts of her kept going away, disappearing, and coming back again, end quote. According to Blocher's MUFON report, quote, the boys saw that parts of her body were vanishing, this time gradually, beginning with her legs. By the time she reached the garage, she was visible only from the waist up, end quote. So fucking weird.
All right, that's bizarre.
As she made her way toward the back of the large building, the kids kept waiting for her torso to turn and float around the back wall.
Of course.
But, true to the evening's already surreal display, the woman simply walked through the doorless north wall as if she was able to consciously phase her material form through solid matter. Because, fuck matter.
Well, it seems like she's partially not corporeal anyway.
Yeah.
At this point, she's shifting into something
Yeah.
else,
Like
She's
quantum flux.
random. Yeah,
Maybe it's not conscious. Maybe it's like the Silverman of Risley, where it's like this thing. Maybe it's aware of the fact that it's phasing in and out of matter, like slipping through fences, going into like nuclear places, shooting laser beams into dude's CB radio, killing him with cancer. Maybe, but maybe it's not in control. Maybe this is what an interdimensional creature would experience coming here. Maybe we would suffer the same fate if we somehow got dislodged from our reality and put there, and we would become this phantasmal figure that's moving a little too fast or a little too slow.
Just some weird digital projection. You know how they do in all the movies now? It's like the hologram yourself somewhere.
Oh yeah,
like one of those type stitches.
That's another possibility, to be sure.
kind of like Luke Skywalker.
Maybe.
Right?
Well,
Yes, like Luke Skywalker.
I just wanted to see you.
But
That's smart.
extrapolate from Chris's disappointment, maybe the blank face is actually just like an identity protection feature. If you are just a hologram and you're being projected to either observe what's going on and to make sure Hawkman and the Lemonheads are doing what they're supposed to do or whatever, maybe the blank face is just like an anonymity feature that so the boys or whatever's there. Not that why would you recognize her? And she does kind of remind me of like the villainess in like the first couple seasons of Umbrella Academy or something. Someone who she's like just so dapper, like a neat dark suit, a little bright blue or light blue fucking fur stole, which is weird.
That's odd.
Well coiffed hair, no face, fucking just spazzing around, fucking being all
unless
Silent
it's some
Hill.
weird just protocol program that it took whatever thought it was normal for the time, and it just happened to think of blue. You're just fucked up where it thinks the blue is good for this color.
Yeah,
but it doesn't.
Yeah, you
fucking
scan the time
face,
period,
really,
you scan the gender, you scan the basic, what people are, apparently dressing like in the region that you're going to be visiting, and this computer program, whatever, composites a outfit, that it thinks is natural.
Weird.
Okay. For the last few seconds, the boys had been so focused on the woman that they had all but forgotten about the Hawkman and the encroaching Lemonheads, which is what I just might call them by default.
I mean, why not?
Lemonheads. But when they turned to look at the creatures, which should have almost been on top of them by now, they were shocked and no doubt relieved to see that they had all vanished seemingly into thin air. A quick glance skyward confirmed that the UFO had also dematerialized. Eddie, Michael, and John, already having once been given false hope that their ordeal was over, decided not to wait around to see what happened next and sprinted for the nearby home of John Cummings, whose backyard faced the playground, as aforementioned, like about a city block away. As the screaming boys were sprinting for the safety of the Cummings house, John's older brother, 12-year-old Hilton, what a classy name, was vacuuming his third-floor bedroom with his dog, who had begun acting strangely just moments before, when he happened to look out of his east-facing window to see his brother and two friends darting for the back door. It was then that, according to Blocher, he noticed, quote, above their heads, at about a 45-degree angle, was an oval object several times the size of the full moon, with 4 yellow lights around the edge and a red light in the middle, end quote. Hilton was unsure as to whether the object was pursuing them, traveling in the same direction, or just hovering above. Throwing open the window, Blocher writes, quote, Hilton leaned out and called to the boys. Then, leaving the window open and the vacuum running, he raced downstairs to meet them at the back door, end quote. The breathless and panicked threesome clambered into the house, and just as they piled inside, quote, the siren at the firehouse, a block to the east along Grand Avenue, was sounded. The time was exactly 6:22 p.m. Because of their excitement, the boys thought that the siren was connected to their UFO sighting, and that the object had perhaps started a fire somewhere. Totally logical, I think.
Well, yeah, you see shit's happening, all of a sudden you hear horns.
For 10-year-olds and 8-year-olds.
Clearly connected.
Sure. So, I mean, it makes sense. Continuing with the quote. Hilton called the fire department. The same dispatcher takes calls for both the fire and police departments, and was told that he was the 5th one to call. Hilton, misunderstanding the statement, believed his was the 5th phone call regarding the UFO. His call actually followed 4 other calls relating to the fire alarm, end quote. Again, completely reasonable mistake. At this point, Hilton excitedly reported both his account of the UFO and his brother and friend's motley menagerie of misanthropic monsters. The report was dutifully, though one imagines with much eye-rolling and snickering, passed on to the police department, and just 10 minutes after the events in question transpired, 35-year-old officer Robert Pelsang was making a slow cruise around the schoolyard, flashlight in hand. But, as is too often the case, he found nothing out of the ordinary. When questioned by investigators, Officer Pelsang surprisingly, and perhaps suspiciously, claimed that, quote, he could not be certain if the police car that had appeared earlier on Memorial Drive was one driven by him. He was out in the squad car at the time, but was not sure exactly where he was about 6:15, end quote. While it's entirely possible that the object and entities were rendered invisible to the officer's eye, it seems fishy that a trained patrolman would be unable to remember cruising through the site of an alleged extraterrestrial landing just 10 minutes before he was sent out to investigate the area.
Yeah, that doesn't really make much sense.
Yeah, you think
because within 10 minutes, you should remember where you were.
Totally.
Unless you're
and
driving.
he was interviewed just 5 days later. So it's one thing if you're just dicking around, you know it's generally after 6 o'clock, you're doing your patrol, you're heading back to the department,
right,
and you don't remember shit. But if 10 minutes later you are sent out by like hysterical kids, you know, to check out a scene where it's supposed to like gold robot-like things and all sorts of other fuck-alls, you would think you'd be like, I just drove through here and I didn't see anything.
Yeah.
The fact that he claimed not to remember, I know I'm going way out on a limb. I can't read the guy's mind. Unfortunately, he passed away, I think, in 2012. But I would love to, you know, I don't know, pick his brain a little if that were possible and just be like, did you see something and you just didn't want to get wrapped up in this shit? Because,
right.
I mean, it does not behoove you as a law officer, especially in the late 70s, probably not in, you know, the early 2020s.
You are going to catch a rash of shit for that, for sure.
And, you know, I mean, the Socorro, Mexico fucking incident, like all Lonnie Zamora, all sorts of officers. I'm not even, you know, to mention the fucking Falkville metal man. Fucking, you get fucked if you report things a lot of times. So I don't blame him if he did see something for not wanting to get involved. Anyway, at 6:39 p.m., John and Hilton's mother, Emily Cummings, returned from shopping just as the siren sounded a second time. She entered her house, grocery bags in hand, only to be swarmed by a quartet of highly agitated young boys, all clamoring to tell her what had happened. Keeping a level head, Emily questioned each of them carefully and had the boys draw separately pictures of what they had seen. And even had the presence of mind to call the Newark airport in the hopes of obtaining radar confirmation of the UFO sighting, but they could offer no help. According to Blocher's report, quote, it took several hours for the children to calm down, and even then Eddie and Michael were still too terrified to walk home alone, even though they lived just a few houses away, end quote. So Emily and her sons escorted Eddie and Michael home. One can only imagine, as she brought the near hysterical children back to their perplexed parents, what the ensuing conversation sounded like.
Yeah.
I mean, can you imagine?
It's a bad parent
Agitate,
moment. You're like, yeah, the kids are fucked up. I don't know. They saw some shit.
I'm surprised she didn't like call them or have the parents come to get them because, I mean, they're already out after dark in what is a dangerous... I mean, I looked at some crime stat stuff. Montvale wasn't like high crime, but I mean, it's late 70s, right up there on the border of New York. As will be mentioned briefly later, like some windows of the school had bullet holes in them. There was like blood on doors. Like it was the cop did not think it was a good idea to be out after dark. So 3 kids being alone out after dark was probably a bad call, having nothing to do with paranormal, you know, entities.
Yeah, Murderville. Yeah. Wow. All right.
Well,
fairly dangerous.
Bloody Doorknobville.
Oh, the worst.
Minimum.
And now a word from our sponsor, BetterHelp. Our listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/hell-or-space. How well would you take care of your car if you had to keep the same one your entire life? You can't have hobgoblins in there gumming everything up with anxiety and depression, but that's how our brains work. So why don't we treat them that way? BetterHelp will assess your needs and match you with your own licensed professional therapist and get you connected in a safe and private online environment that is convenient, professional, and affordable. You can start communicating in under 48 hours. I personally have used BetterHelp, and I recently re-signed back up to speak with my therapist, Susan, because I haven't talked to her in a little bit, and honestly, I can maybe use a check-in here or there. And it's just that easy and convenient to do. I can log into my account, I can schedule my appointment with her, and I'm talking with her that very same week, and it's just that simple. BetterHelp is here to make professional therapy accessible, affordable, and convenient, so anyone who struggles with life's challenges can get help anytime and anywhere. Join over 1 million people who have taken charge of their mental health by visiting betterhelp.com/hellerspace. That's betterhelp.com/hellerspace to get 10% off your first month.
At this point, Blocher claimed that just 24 hours after the incident, on February 1st, 1978, at about 8:30 p.m., he received a telephone call from veteran Seattle UFO researcher Robert Gribble. I fucking love that name. It's such a Henson name.
Gribble.
Who informed him that a close encounter of the third kind case had occurred on the previous night in Montvale, New Jersey, involving 4 boys and indirectly the mother of 2 of them. Quote, Gribble gave me Mrs. Cummings' telephone number, and I called her right away. She provided additional details based on her understanding of the stories she had obtained from each of the 4 children whom, she emphasized, had been extremely upset by what reportedly had occurred. He continued, Mrs. Cummings was very helpful, and she agreed to a meeting with the children arranged for Sunday afternoon, February 5th. She wisely suggested that if I had some associates that could come along, we might save time and obtain independent accounts by interviewing the children on a one-to-one basis. We met at the home in Montvale at 2 p.m. as planned, and Mrs. Cummings arranged to have both Eddie and Michael present for the interviews. The 3 of us chose 1 boy apiece. Don't like the way that sounds.
Nope.
I interviewed John and his brother, Hilton, regarding his part in the January 31st incident. Pat Yugi questioned Michael and has submitted his own report based on Michael's account, which unfortunately I have not been able to turn up because it would have been nice to have a counterpoint. And Bud Hopkins spoke with Eddie as well as the other boys. End quote. James Dean would write in his accounting of the case, quote, 3 UFO investigators, Bud Hopkins, Ted Blocher, and Patrick Yugi, decided to study the case. On February 5th, 5 days after the initial sighting, they arrived in Montvale. The men inspected the playing field and the surrounding area. They also interviewed each boy privately. The investigators had 2 questions in mind. Were the boys lying, or had they seen something? If they had seen something, could it be explained by normal circumstances? In the course of their questioning, the men tried to trick the boys into admitting that they hadn't really seen a UFO or any strange creatures. They questioned the boys about Star Trek, Star Wars, and close encounters of the third kind. But they learned from Eddie and Michael's father that his sons had never been interested in science fiction. The boys stuck to their story. As Bud Hopkins wrote in his report, quote, it became clear to all 3 of us by the end of the day that the boys were not perpetrating a hoax. So that's interesting. I don't know what it really means, but it is interesting. And it really does make sense because when you think about the time period, I mean, yeah, we'll talk about that in a minute. It was crazy for UFOs. Although the event might not have been hoaxed, an honest mistake was not out of the question. To that end, the investigators again contacted the Newark airport as well as the New York Air Traffic Control Center, but were told in no uncertain terms that 0 flying objects had been picked up on radar in the vicinity of Montvale that evening. Hopkins, Blocher, and Yugi then switched tracks and began looking into the alien aspect of the case. Understanding that the boys had initially mistaken the first odd entity for local jogger and yellow tracksuit enthusiast Mr. Johnson, the ufologists then asked Officer Pelsang if during his nightly patrol he'd seen a group of runners in the area. Pelsang claimed, according to Deem, that, quote, he had never seen more than 2 people jogging together in Montvale, and never after dark, adding, no one jogs after dark. They'd have to be crazy.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah, but look, what are the
Fucking
odds they
crime
all
rate.
have the same color suit as Jude
Totally.
was,
Yeah.
well, and Bruce Lee?
Oh, no, you can't help but think it. It's totally
Yeah.
the classic Bruce Lee tracksuit.
What are the odds it was just a bunch of competing marching band people fucking around?
Like color guard or something?
Yeah, theirs just happened to be yellow. They walk stiff.
It's true.
Oh, man.
And the leader was just had a hawk helmet.
Oh, dude,
And the teacher that was supposed to be supervising them from a distance is just sitting down,
yeah,
all dialed up, waiting to go out on a fucking date, but she doesn't have time to go for a beauty regimen, so she's got like a face mask on, like one of those cold cream or whatever bullshit.
Okay.
So from a distance,
she just had like a highfalutin veil.
Yes, maybe something like that. She just looked.
She's like, don't look at my face.
So it's just a marching band, a really goofy band leader, and a teacher that doesn't want to be there, going through her fucking night rituals
in a super crime-ridden area at night.
Perfect place to practice because no one's going to be there.
Yeah, that's true.
So you can try out that new thing that you're going to fucking win the competition with, and no one's going to see you.
The new band formation. The people come up with the flags.
Right. They had prototype fireworks too going on. That's what the fucking UFO was.
And we nailed it.
And they had a Frank and Beans barbecue before they went there. The farts and the sulfur.
Oh,
complete the picture.
You know how bands love to eat
Franks and Beans.
That's
a band thing.
The marching band, dude. They fill the tubas with it. They fucking eat it.
They live for that shit.
God
yeah,
damn
that
it.
could be just backed up sewers or something too. That could be not even related to the
That's true
marching
too.
band.
Yeah,
I mean, it is right next to the Department of Waterworks or whatever.
The Public Works Garage.
Public Works Garage.
Are we even going to continue this article? We solved it.
Yeah, I know. I mean, really, what's the point?
I mean, as the local sewer man here, I will say, Christopher, yes, correct. You could be smelling methane coming from the sewer, which is not safe.
No, I suppose
not safe at all.
But does methane smell like sulfur?
No, it smells more like methane. Well, I mean, there's a sulfury sort of tinge to
but
it.
They add.
Gross.
I don't know if they did in the late 70s, but they do add sulfur
to gas.
Yeah, So maybe it was a gas leak, and they're
slow gas leak, and the band went.
The kids are high as fuck,
yeah, dude.
so they're watching a band practice, but they're like golden bobbers and fucking
ripped
faceless
out of their,
chicks and hawkmen,
fucking ripped out of their gourds.
Oh, everyone was high.
Yeah.
Everyone on this field was fucking high.
The whole area, slow gas leak.
That's why the fire started.
Oh, dude, fucking Bloker. What's up, Blokes?
Well, let's see what these people thought.
All right, let's see. Here
Let's
we
go
go.
there. So, you'd be crazy to jog after dark, is where we left off. The ufologists, doing their due diligence, moved on to their next theory. If not joggers, then might the fast-moving figures have been employees of the Department of Public Works, clad in their neon yellow bad weather visibility suits.
I was thinking the same thing. I mean, there's some kind of union things going on, maybe a protest, perhaps. Give us a better contract.
Oh, a little strike.
Oh, yeah, maybe on strike.
I mean,
the middle of the night strike.
Yeah.
Yeah, could be. I mean, or maybe they are just there doing work. Like if I go out at night for work, I have all the high vis shit I gotta wear, so I look like a giant fucking road cone with a beard.
Right.
Yeah,
but safety first, motherfucker.
that's right, guy. I ain't getting ran over.
When they suggested this option to the head of the DPW, Lewis Bradley, he explained that, quote, all workers had gone home at 4:30 p.m. on the day in question, and none were wearing yellow uniforms that day, end quote. The investigators were persistent in their questioning, further asking could another group of workers have been there that evening, prompting Bradley to impatiently respond, quote, look, there are only 6 men who work here, and I'm the boss. I just finished handing in their timesheets, end quote, effectively ending that line of inquiry.
Typical DPW response.
Yeah, Lewis Bradley, he's like, what the fuck?
Breaks at 9, lunches at fucking noon. A couple other breaks in between.
There you go.
Smoke breaks.
Yep, smoke breaks.
Ted Bloker summed up his opinion on this case, and indeed his opinion on the whimsy of a child, thusly, quote, the accuracy of children's testimony regarding UFO reports is a difficult thing to determine. On the one hand, children can often exhibit an exhilarating candor and lack of guile in describing something, but they also have rich imaginations that are unconstrained by their limited knowledge and experience with the quote-unquote real world. One may hesitatingly conclude, at the risk of appearing to be an adult chauvinist, that UFO reports by children have considerably less probative value than reports by adults. This is not to say that children's reports should be ignored or thrown away. Much depends, of course, on the children themselves, and like adults, some are more credible than others. In the case at hand, I have the impression that the one subject I spent most time interviewing, John, is an unusually dependable witness. His story was clear and quite straightforward, and he introduced very little irrelevant detail. There is no internal evidence that suggests he is making the story up or elaborating extensively on what he saw, despite the rather bizarre contents of the story. Regardless of other intrusive and extraneous details, and this is where we get into bullet holes in the school window, blood on the door, purple clouds at sunset, and odd people living in the neighborhood, the stories of all four boys contain sufficient complementary overlapping detail to suggest that they saw something quite definite, and that what was seen has been described similarly and accurately to the best of each boy's abilities, and that whatever it was that they saw, it had an unmistakable effect upon them. The question remains, what did they see? Was it something ordinary that, in their excitement, they mistook for something remarkable? I cannot answer this with any certainty. Without the independent testimony of other witnesses, I must view the report as inconclusive, end quote. Despite this assessment, Blocher intriguingly added an odd addendum. Quote, the reports of the children that they saw other objects on subsequent evenings, specifically the night of February 1st, so the following night, has not yet been carefully checked out. The temptation is strong, of course, to dismiss such claims as the results of excess imagination. This may be a mistake, end quote. I have not been able to find an ounce of information about a next night sighting.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Well, an ounce, a droplet, and this droplet is, in Blocher's report, he mentions that almost 24 hours later, at about 6-something, some of the boys, maybe the Cummings boys, claimed to have seen a similar object in the sky, but it wasn't nearly as broad spectrum.
Right.
All right.
So
Okay.
it's difficult to know.
Huh.
Does this suggest that whatever occurred on the eve of January 31st did not simply end with the boys being chased home by a geometric UFO? Perhaps their quick dip in the murky pools of ultra-high strangeness became more of a marathon swim. Maybe to this very day, Eddie, Michael, John, and even Hilton continue to be victims of these odd objects and inexplicable beings. It could be, but I hope not. Did the boys actually see a UFO? Were there really a cadre of goose-stepping golden entities scurrying around a school field in the company of a bizarre bird-like being? Was there truly a slow-motion, faceless woman wearing a blue stole that could walk, apparently piece by piece, through solid walls? There's no way of knowing for sure, though 3 of the most august ufologists of the 1970s concluded that the boys' reports, if nothing else, ought to be taken seriously. But perhaps the most compelling words came from Officer Pelsang, who, understanding better than most the motivations of the kids involved, simply stated, 12-year-old boys don't call the police unless they're really upset about something. And that's true. It wasn't their parents. That was them independently calling in fear. Let's wrap this up and then break it down. Considering the caliber of the investigators involved with this case, added to the period in which it took place in the wake of Star Wars and Close Encounters of the Third Kind, as well as the growing popularity of primetime paranormal docs like The Venerable In Search Of, it is shocking that this utterly unique case didn't receive more mainstream media traction along the lines of the Pascagoula abductors or the Kelly Hopkinsville goblins. With its bizarre confluence of robotic lemonheads, a dollar store Hawkman costume, and a faceless, dematerializing woman that would seem more at home in a Victorian ghost story than in an alien encounter, maybe this account was just too weird for most to process. But like in the Casablanca entities and the El Zeta anomaly cases before it, it seems as if this account of the mysterious Montvale monstrosities is destined to haunt the deepest, weirdest passages of the hallowed halls of high strangeness.
Oh, shit.
Yeah,
There
this
you
is fucked
have
up.
it.
I'm
Yeah.
surprised that this is not.
Yeah, I mean, good on Cole. He dug this up out
Holy
of a kid's
shit.
book. He in his article, and we're going to post a link to it as we always do. He talked about like how he collects children's books on cryptozoology, ufology, and etc. Because oftentimes cases that fall through the cracks get chronicled in these like scholastic books or whatever things that are geared towards kids, like Daniel Cohen's books and whatnot, and so he makes a pretty solid case for it. And in this case, I agree, because you do find some weird ass cases. Now,
it is weird.
What was good about finding the MUFON account is that it didn't give the ages of the boys, and it didn't give it's uncanny how many directions there are. Like, kids in the 70s apparently had compasses on them all the time. This comes from the east. We went to the north. All sorts of shit. I'm like, if I was driving dead up into a sunset, squinting and blinded with my visor down, and someone next to me said, which direction is west, it would take me 10 minutes to figure it out. Like, I don't understand how fucking people know that shit all the time.
My only point of reference is the lake. Like, if I'm in my backyard, the lake is south. The lake. There you go. Right. And then I go from there. And then I work my, like, Syracuse is to the east, Rochester, Buffalo's going to the west.
Yeah, no, I get that.
That's all I do. But, like, if I'm standing somewhere and they're like, where's east? I'm like, fucking got me, Rob. I have no clue. Mm-hmm. No idea.
Yeah.
That's why my phone has a compass on it.
So,
all right.
Tell me to go right or left. Don't give me east or west.
Thank God for Ted Blocher. And somebody posting this PDF of the MUFON Journal, 123, because even though I would love to see Patrick Yugi's different account of Michael's and to compare and contrast and see if it adds more detail or if it contradicts or whatever, unfortunately I couldn't dig it up. But anyway, it's a fascinating case, and it really does. It ranks right up there with Casablanca, El Zeta anomalies, some of the weirdest shit, and somehow it seems like, if something's just a little batshit, it becomes popularized. Again, like Pascagoula, Hopkinsville, things that I just mentioned.
Yeah.
But if it goes that one toke over the line, sweet Jesus, then fucking people are like, nope, I can't handle it. I don't want to deal with you.
Yeah, which is weird, because this is the stuff I love.
Me too.
More than fucking
same here.
Anything.
Like this complete high strangeness.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, I love the singular, weird reptilian, possibly furry thing that has fucking 8 teeth. That's cool.
Yes, of course.
But this stuff is like my jam.
No, same. And like Rob said, back to like El Zeta or like Casablanca. What's interesting about this, though, too, is with the sighting is like whatever they're seeing, there's no real, like, they're not doing anything. Like, I mean, she points. And that's it. As far as the lemon heads, they're not doing anything.
Yeah, everything's seemingly just going about their business.
Interaction. They're just kind of watching them.
Except for two distinct things. I agree. In terms of the Lemonheads and the Hawkman.
Yeah.
They don't give fucks.
The woman
they're not even aware.
Points.
But the UFO seems to be aware of them being there.
Oh,
I mean,
that's
first
true.
it comes
That's
in
true.
from, whatever direction,
Right.
does the spin around.
Yeah.
Does a couple donuts in the
maybe.
Burger King parking lot, pauses overhead. They book it for the dugout. It follows them, ostensibly, disappears.
Right.
So that shows at least some sort of possible, I grant you not guaranteed, but possible awareness of the kids.
Yeah.
But the woman pointing and then pointing up means that there's at least some awareness of their presence there.
Sure.
Didn't she like sit down? Right?
She sat on the fence like an exhausted, like me, like an exhausted middle-aged dude, fucking like, I'm done.
And then
I'm walking around dealing with this.
She points and then
check it out.
That's it. Yeah. But there's no there's no directive. There's no fucking stop the nuclear shit. They're gonna blow the planet up. There's no typical alien shit.
No missing time. It seems because they definitely arrived home at 6:22, and all of this transpired in approximately, based on both Deems and Blocher's research, within a 10-minute time frame.
Yeah.
So from them, fucking boot skating to them running through the door of John Cummings' house, 10, 12 minutes elapsed, maybe. So at least they don't seem to have been abducted. What if it's like unrelated phenomenon, though? Like, what if literally the faceless woman in what to me seems, I mean, I don't know what high fashion was in 78, but a fairly old-timey outfit with a stole. What if she was like some weird ghost that happened to fucking haunt fucking, the Department of Public Works building or something, and she sees a UFO, And just like, fucking dudes, did you see that?
Look!
I'm dead, but the fog.
I know.
Fucking DPW
I
hag,
was going
dude.
into the light, but now I gotta know
Finally.
what the fuck's going on.
The DPW hag strikes again.
That's why she had no face, because her face was already in the light.
Oh, dude, her body was
And
going
then,
there too.
her legs were like, fuck this, I'm going. So just
Maybe she was being absorbed in to the fucking the nether.
Yeah, she was going to see Jesus, and then the aliens showed up, and she couldn't.
At some point, the kids speculated because, oh Jesus Christ, that the fucking the Lemonheads also might have disappeared into the Public Works building because they were basically congregated in that general area, and then even though some were marching towards them and others were just goose stepping around, why the fuck would these things, unless they're just dead up trying to hide in an empty building at night, why the fuck would they go into a big old fucking garage in the dead of night?
I'm assuming to hide. I would assume. I mean, but they were out there milling around willy-nilly doing whatever.
Yeah.
Military
drills.
drills.
Oh, shit, we got to fucking go.
A fucking flash mob dance. Fucking, it's hard
Unless they
telling.
were based out of the DPW.
Been.
Weird. I don't know why they would be based
From
out
the
of there.
future? Like
The
that's what you're going to look like
DPW
when they make
future.
cloned fucking Public Works workers.
Yeah.
And they glow in the dark so that you will
can
always
see
be able
'em.
to see them.
Yeah.
They always wear
They
bright
move
yellow.
super fast.
They super
don't
fast.
require brakes.
They obviously aren't brilliant. Not that I'm saying that fucking departments of public work guys are dumb, but I just mean like they're clearly just doing what they got to fucking do,
You
and they're
don't-
not focused on anything
You
else.
don't need 7 of them around a hole while one of them's down there working. The old city worker humor coming out.
Honestly, that could be what's going on, though. One guy shows up to do the
Well,
job,
yeah.
10 more to fuck around. I mean, they might literally have to like prefix shit that is going to go wrong. Like fucking however many years into the future.
Oh man, if I could, as a maintenance guy at a ship plant, if I could do that, my fucking job would be awesome.
Can you
There'd
imagine
be no
if, like,
surprises?
right.
If future fucking sewer workers came back like, oh, we're gonna diddle fuck this up with my magic fucking tool set.
We already fixed the swing pump, Mark. Don't worry, the hydraulic hoses are replaced. You're good to go. Woo! There you go.
So did you guys see the pictures I sent?
Yes,
I
so
did.
I like Michael's sketch of the UFO here.
Yeah, dude, I just fucking like
it's pretty fucking
Yeah,
interesting.
it looks like
It's
an
cool.
old-timey radio almost.
It does, yeah. I mean, it's cool as it does have that blocky shape to it, but it has the dome.
You know what
Kinda
it actually looks like? It
classic
looks like a
UFO.
pirate ship or a pirate hat.
Yeah, totally.
Or like a Revolutionary War hat.
Oh, yeah, it's a Quaker hat.
Yeah, a Quaker hat with like a little headlamp put in the middle of it.
What's even better is the actual sketch of the humanoids. You're right; they got pit vipers. They clearly got pit
totes.
vipers on, and just the way they have with their faces drawn, they're just that's.
Now, granted,
I
it
love
was
it.
probably a drawing done by a 10 or 8-year-old child. So I'm not here to judge. But if that's really what they looked like, it
Yeah.
seems like their entire face gravitates to the point of their tiny little pointy, like
It's all-
weaselly, like
It's all
moley.
based on their nose. Yeah.
Yeah,
Huh.
it's odd.
It's cool.
I wish they had drawn the fucking Hawkman.
I know.
So bad.
Yeah,
I
like
know.
I mean, a faceless woman we can all imagine. Medium long brown hair.
Yes. No.
face.
Or is the one on the left more what the Western look like, and the one on the right is the Hawkman because it's more pointed?
I mean, that's possible, but
That's-
that isn't so extreme to me.
Yeah,
You
I'm
might
seeing-
very well be right, Chris, but that to me doesn't seem so extreme as to be like, oh, that's just a normal fucking yellow dude, and this is a hawk-headed monstrosity.
Right.
It's the same dude with a slightly pointier face.
But
But you might be right. I'm not saying you're wrong. It's fucked up.
It is definitely interesting. So theories abound here. What do we got?
I'm sticking with my marching band theory.
It's a good theory. I like it. I like it. I mean, the whole phasing of her kind of going in and out, that kind of makes me think like, not necessarily like interdimensional, but maybe like a weird timeline blip or something.
Sure.
Maybe something kind of like phasing in and out
Like
of our
literally
reality.
out of time.
Yeah, like something kind of coming into our reality and out of our reality. So,
And could she be monitoring like these things? Like maybe
oh yeah,
like different groups of like time traveling fucking weirdos or even interdimensional weirdos where the golden group evidently led or at least accompanied by Caped Hawk dude are doing one thing and that's their agenda, and she's like brought back to like observe or to maybe even intervene, but for some reason she just wasn't plopped directly in our timeline. So sort of like that horrible fucking movie and I guess short story by Stephen King, The Langoliers. She's kind of caught in between time. But instead of like literally being caught in a blip of time that is non-existent, she's sort of phasing in and out of time. At least as we recognize it. So she's moving slow and blipping and fucking jerking around like a fucking, a terrible stop motion marionette.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you want to think that everything's connected because
it happened in 10 minutes and it's all there in that one little playground.
Yeah,
right.
There's like no direct communication. There's nothing. It's just boom,
she
boom,
acknowledged
boom,
the
boom.
presence of the UFO, but that doesn't mean she's from it.
And she acknowledged them.
Yeah.
And she acknowledged that. But there was no word spoken. There was no
She could have been trying to warn them, like, oh, fuck, it's back. You guys might want to hide again. Like, it wasn't necessarily malevolent.
There's no, you can't tell motive. There's not even, usually something like this, you might get like a cryptic message or some like,
directive.
Anything, a sentence, couple words, something. There's just nothing.
No.
Right.
There's just people doing random shit. And it's hard.
There are definitely people that think that this is a demonic manifestation and not merely an extraterrestrial one.
Just because of the sulfur?
The sulfur scent, which of course is an earmark of devilry, and also the faceless woman that seems more in the line of the occult / supernatural paranormal, not ufological paranormal.
Yeah, other than the sulfur, I would not have thought anything like that. Just because of a faceless.
Right.
Like, that doesn't scream demon.
Of course, there's a lot of people that just think all aliens are demons in disguise and that they're just showing themselves in a way. No, I don't buy that particularly. But, I mean, it is interesting that it all seems to be kind of blended together in this fucking weird way. And it does seem to be occulty things combined with glowing robot alien-y type things. Combined with a fucking UFO, which is always the domain of ufology / sci-fi. So it's, well, not always, but for the most part, in most people's minds, that is not a phenomenon that they'd associate with like ghost hunting.
Right.
Yeah.
But here it is again, one of those great crazy things. Like, I mean, you had fucking carp fucking a la carte fucking mayhem with fucking Casablanca with those Zeta anomalies. Remember, you got the teardrop glowing entity.
Yeah, that was bonkers.
You got the monkey spider. You got the flying train cars, and of course, you got the faceless white jumpsuit firework fucking employees that had their faces blown off.
Yeah.
Also, they were faceless, I believe.
I was gonna say the another thread here is that there's no face, which is bizarre. We've definitely covered things like that before,
right? Or really,
like
the eyes, because eyes were hollow. They're just a trapezoid shape.
The faceless.
Yeah,
what was the thing? What's the faceless fiend of? Is the faceless fiend of Tengu?
That also was like she had a unicorn horn.
Yeah, but no face.
And just like a blank face with black eyes, black holes for the eyes. Dude. So then that opens up the possibility. Is it a mask? Or is it like a protective suit, like astronauts might wear, some environmental protective suit where there's black holes for the eyes. The features come to kind of a point, but they're really simple, at least based on that drawing. And the way they're moving is very stiff, as if they're in something that may be inhibiting movement.
Or maybe Earth's gravity is different for them.
Sure.
Kind of like Superman.
Maybe. Or just automatons of some kind.
Oh, the robot.
And maybe the weird one was just a different kind. Maybe the other ones were just kind of scouts, and that one had a different purpose, and that's why it looked a little bit different.
Dude, Earth robots sent here to explore Earth,
right?
Powered by occult magic. Bring it
fucking
in.
total Parsons project here.
Yeah,
huh?
dude.
Occult magic.
Occult magic powering automatons here to scout Earth in a crime-ridden area.
Wow.
Perfect.
Oh, my God.
Near
were they
a
vigilantes?
DPW.
Were they there to purge,
Dude.
clean the blood, fix the bullet
Is she
holes?
the ghost that was of somebody that was tapping into the magic?
Oh, she could be.
Oh, I went simple. I thought murdered in the park.
Or maybe she is.
Murdered, but maybe because she got into some fucking shit. She wasn't.
She is the caster of said spell.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
It sucked her in.
Right.
And then she's off.
But she cast it when she was alive and got murdered because she found out some stuff.
What if she got murdered mid-casting and now she's stuck between worlds, hence phasing in and out and moving slowly? So she can't contact any human sorcerers or sorceresses for help for her health. And she had to call down the aliens to assist her. but she ended up getting a bunch of bumbling dolts and a Hawkman.
Dude, this episode the series, the finale writes itself.
It does.
We got it. We nailed it, boys. There it is. Occult magic wins again.
And they all disappeared into the fucking garage because they needed some simple tools to finish the job, send her into the light. They get to fucking go home, and the kids weren't supposed to see anything, but they did.
Yep.
And, okay, they're really no worse to wear.
That's my second favorite theory. Marching band first.
All right, fine.
That's fair.
Marching band first. I respect it. I get
second.
it. There it is, the mysterious Montvale Monstrosities. Oh, Robert, thank you so very much, good sir. And, of course, shout-outs to our good buddy, Mr. Cole Herrold, for digging this up.
Yeah, this was
awesome.
this was a tasty morsel.
Yeah, it was.
No.
It's nice to get back to get some weird. I mean, obviously we always do super weird stuff.
Of course.
When you hit really bizarre, high strangeness stuff like this, I love it.
We love it.
So
we love it
much
when
fun.
people send us the weird shit that we can explore.
Yeah.
It's fascinating.
Definitely. So thank you all so very much for joining us. The Cryptonaut Podcast, the Instas and the Twitters and the Facebook. Guess what? We're there. We're
Fuck
doing
yeah.
it. We're there. DM us.
I
Contact
actually
us.
just signed up for Instagram yesterday.
No.
Get out.
Why don't you tell me? I would add you as my
I
friend.
found out. Well,
Get out.
Are you my friend?
I don't
on
have any
there?
friends yet. I
Can
don't have
follow
anything.
you?
I didn't do anything. I just did it
I have
mostly to
not
look at
done
our
anything.
Cryptonaut thing. Oh, so you're signed up too. So I'm here. I'm gonna try to have some presence and respond to people.
I want to follow you.
Please.
I want you to post pictures of your art. I enjoy your
I
art.
want to follow you.
Yeah. I want you to
didn't
post
even-
pictures.
I
I
didn't
want to
even
like
think
them.
about that. I think
Yeah.
I will.
Yeah, and then I can tag you in Cryptonaut posts, and then people that see that tag can follow you, like when I tag Chris and people follow him.
Oh, yellow tracksuits for all of us.
Dude, we're all yellow
We're gonna take
tracksuited out,
selfies for
dog.
days. We're gonna be awesome.
Yeah, dude,
What if they were
selfies.
aliens that just saw Game of Death and they saw Bruce Lee in the tracksuit?
And they just saw how fucking cool he was.
Yeah,
They're like-
dude.
It would make sense. Late 70s, Kung Fu was king at the box
Yeah,
office.
there it is.
Oh my God! Did Robert Klaus direct this event?
I have changed my theory.
Kung Fu marching band.
No, I haven't.
Marching
maybe.
band out the
Undead.
window.
Wizardess.
Nice.
Is
Hellerspace.
wizardess even a word?
It is now.
think it is now.
God
yeah.
damn.
I like Wizardess. Hellerspace.com. Get yourself those T-shirts. Boy, it's fucking hot out. I sure could use a tank top from Hellerspace.com. Don't got one, but I'm rocking my Snoop Dogg shirt from Marshall.
Why don't you just make that
There it is.
tank top at this point? Like, why not just cut it up?
This shirt right here?
Yeah.
I like this shirt.
I do too,
I
but
don't want
cut
to
it
cut
up.
it. I mean, I have other shirts I
It's
cut up.
dying to be cut into a fucking tank top. Look at it, dude. Like,
Is it because my neck is all sweaty and the neck's all blown
no,
out?
it just
Oh, the studio's
look at
hot
shirt,
as
man.
fuck right
Look
now.
at-
Nice.
It looks like you threw a dart at a balloon at Italian Fest and won that fucking shirt. I would have taken the Corey Haim poster or the Corvette mirror over
the
that.
Snoop Dogg shirt?
Yeah.
Wow.
Fuck yeah.
Wow.
Give me the Corvette
We really
mirror.
need a poster of the two Corys, like
We
circa
honestly-
Tiger Beat. Fucking
we need the Cobra.
88.
We need the Cobra mirror too, for sure.
Yeah, the Cobra and the Corvette.
Patreon.com/Cryptonaut Podcast. Check that out. Friday, August 19th, which I believe is actually the Friday that was the week that this would be released, because I can tell time and dates. That's
Sure.
totally fine. Crypto Trivia. Join us for Crypto Trivia. Topics include general knowledge of the creatures featured in the podcast and some pod history. You must be in the general chat. That way everyone can join in there. And Hecate is going to figure out how to get everyone kind of set up
She
with
is just
their
a
trivia
master
cards.
of
So that-
organization.
So that'll be dope. So
Thank you, Hecate, and everyone else that fucking does this
Yeah,
stuff.
totally.
You guys
Yeah,
are
totally.
bomb.
So be sure to join us there for Crypto Trivia. It's going to be super fun, and maybe we'll try to play, and you guys can watch us not know ourselves and shit we talk
Yeah, I'd
about.
love to.
So,
I will watch you guys play.
all right, perfect. There
Oh,
you
you
go.
got to play, Chris. Come on.
Absolutely not.
Why not?
I don't know anything.
Oh, you'd be surprised.
not going to play the World War II Super Genius Trivia game? No.
That's literally questions about
But
you.
You're not a veteran of World War II. This is literally about you and things you've done and talked about.
You could ask me about what we just read, and I couldn't even tell what I can't answer anything about the story.
Oh,
Ask me a
boy.
question. Ask me a question.
Point taken.
Oh shit! Oh man!
See, you can't even think of a question. How am I supposed to think of an answer if you can't even think of a question?
Oh my gosh,
Nice.
you're right. No,
Nice.
you're right.
None of us know anything.
I do.
No, Rob.
What,
Rob- yeah, no,
what-
Rob
what
does.
color was the Hawkman's cape?
17. I don't know. Grass.
That's not
I
accurate.
got it
Mark?
brown.
Yes.
Oh, is that a good
See?
point?
Wow.
Trebek.
All right,
Pancakes.
Chris, this is easy because I mentioned it 6 times. What color was the faceless woman's stole?
Pepperoni.
God damn it. Now you're just trying.
Pepperoni's not a color.
Where was
Sand?
the bullet hole? Where was the bullet hole?
In the school door.
Oh, ooh, close, real close.
Shit, the house door?
No, the school window.
In the child.
Yeah, where was
No.
the blood?
Oh, and the doorknob.
No, that was Chris just said that. It was
Camel.
just on a door. All right, we're done.
Shit.
We're done
All
here.
right, and anyway, the stool, whatever, that was blue.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Look at you. Look at this teacher's pet. Oh my
Yeah.
God, you're getting fucking.
Mr. Morphy.
You're getting
See, I don't
stickers
know.
on your laptop
Yeah.
and everything.
Yeah, I'm going to sit on Mr. Morphy's lap and be inappropriate. Yeah.
Okay,
There it is.
there we
Yeah.
are.
Okay.
That's phenomenal.
Go for it.
I'm turning the tables on him.
Christ.
Are you?
Yeah.
My plan all along.
Okay.
Oh, man. There
You
it is.
win.
Oh, shit. Thank you so
Bye.
very much. We'll be talking to you soon.
Fucking Mark Blow over here.